College basketball season is finally upon us in full swing for Texas's hoops. Texas women's volleyball continues to wreak havoc in the Big 12 in Norman, and yet again an underwhelming performance from Longhorn football with a record-setting crowd on a chilly Veterans Day weekend. All this and more coming up on College Press Box.
Good evening and welcome to College Press Box. I'm your host, Courtney Machani, and he's Joseph Duffey. We got a great show for you in this evening, and let's get right to it.
All right, Courtney. Friday was the first women's basketball contest in the new squeaky clean Moody Center, where the Lady Longhorns duked it out against the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana. Let's go over there to Moody Center and here, as we start with a little dirty work from Diana Gatson here, who had 4 offensive rebounds. Kicks it out to Sonny Morris, knocks down the mid-range from the elbow. But however, this contest was a defensive battle with a whopping 51 combined turnovers from both teams. Very sloppy play from both squads. However, Shaylee Gonzalez, who goes to the hole here, she had 8 points, 5 boards, and a dime on the day, while also going 6 of 6 from the line. But here was the star of the day, Taylor Jones, who had 5 of Texas' 6 blocks. She held down the low post while tacking on a team-leading 21 points. End of the half here. Here's Gonzalez finding work yet again. Down court to Shea Holly, who matched her career high of 10 points. Now in the second half, facing a press, Morris finds Gonzalez relaying to Holly, who gives the lob to Gaston down low. 13 team assists, sharing the rock efficiently for the Horns. But again, the turnovers were an issue for Texas. Lene Wheaton for the Cajuns causing the turnover here. She was a pest all day, picking pockets 4 times for Louisiana, already with her 13 points. Another steal here as she goes to the hole and gets an easy transition basket. But with a distinct size advantage, though Texas was able to pull away, Taylor Jones could not be contained against a Louisiana team that didn't have a starter over 6 feet tall. And then it was just easy sailing for the Longhorns from that point on. Taylor Jones' dominant showing. Again, she had 21 points, and Texas would win their season opener 68-45. But Coach Schaefer definitely thought his team could have played a much cleaner game, and clearly there was much time left to make some revisions in this lengthy season.
The Texas women's basketball team opened up their season against the Louisiana Raging Cajuns at the newly opened Moody Center last Friday. Our very own College Press Box executive producer Samantha Perl was covering the game for TSTV Sports. Here are her thoughts.
On Friday evening, the Texas women's basketball team hosted their first game of the season at the Moody Center. To commemorate the night, on every seat there was a t-shirt to remember the first inaugural season of the arena. Like every home basketball game, the team likes to excite the crowd. Smoke, fireworks, music blasting, and fans cheering. To support the Longhorns, fans came out and showed their Texas pride, especially the students in the student section. On Friday night, the Longhorns went up against the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. It was a tough battle for both teams, however. There was lots of foul trouble, and it was not the best night for Texas. Junior forward Taylor Jones, who transferred to the University of Texas starting this season, mentioned that the team had an advantage.
We were a lot taller than them, and I mean, because they are undersized, I was able to get good position and able to get position to where the guards can throw it in. And so we just kept on going to what was working, and that was working because they didn't really have an answer to any of us down low because of how undersized they were.
Additionally, although the Longhorns won their first game of the season, Texas's head coach Vic Schaefer touched on that the team made mistakes.
I'll hold myself accountable for that. Didn't do a very good job of having them ready, and we didn't play very well at times. I have so much respect and admiration for Coach Broadhead and his team at Louisiana.
But he did have one important message.
But hey, I'm really happy for our players. I'm happy for our kids, and I want to thank the fans. You know, please put that in there. I'm so appreciative of our fans tonight and the atmosphere that they created. It was really a special night for our kids. And while we didn't play well all the time, it was still a win. It's hard to win at this level, so we're going to celebrate that with them. And I'm proud of them for getting through a really tough night that I've just got to do better as a coach.
The number 3 Texas Longhorns had their season opener tonight against the Louisiana Raging Cajuns in the Moody Center on Friday evening. It was not an easy fight for either of the teams. The Texas Longhorns had a lot of foul trouble. They had a lot of turnovers. It was not a great night for them, but ultimately they did come out on top. Rory Harmon was out of the game, so that was a big factor as well. She was out because of injury. But the Louisiana Raging Cajuns had a great fight. They had a great defense and great effort. But head coach Vic Schaefer touched on in the press conference this evening that the team just needs to work on the troubles they had tonight before their game against the University of Connecticut. The Texas Longhorns ultimately won the game tonight. It was 68-45. Reporting for TSTV Sports, I'm Samantha Perl.
Now, I'm lucky to be joined by our women's basketball analyst, Debanny Cerda. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no, of course.
So, question 1, the game against Louisiana was a good one. Rory Harmon was benched due to injury.
Yeah.
Who do you think made a statement in today's game, in that game?
You know, Rory being benched did definitely make an impact for the Longhorns, as she is one of their key players, but it did make some of the ladies step up. And for me personally, I think that Rory is a huge game playmaker, but however, Shaylee Gonzalez was able to step up to the plate. She stood out to me specifically. She did stand out to me, but I personally want to give it out to Taylor Jones, the transfer from Oregon State. She made her debut as a Longhorn against Louisiana. She's definitely a key player in the paint, as she was able to rank up 21 points, 5 blocks, and 6 rebounds. At her time at the Pac-12, she averaged about 16.6 points and 6.9 rebounds. Having her on Texas will be a great player, as she is a big player in the paint, and she will be able to compete competitively with our other post players. Another player that stood out to me would be freshman Najidenka McQuindy, the freshman. She made her first game appearance as a Longhorns, and it is safe to say that she did not disappoint. She was able to end the night in double figures, and she finished off with 10 points and 6 rebounds.
Yeah, I definitely love the game by Taylor Jones. Now, what are some things that Texas did defensively and offensively that improved their game?
You know, in the first game, at the exhibition game, we can definitely see that they definitely all go to war for each other. They both on defensively and offensively. Defensively, specifically against Louisiana, Shea Hawley was able to have 5 steals, and we were able to force 28 total turnovers. Of those 28 turnovers, 26 were converted into points. They are also very careful with not fouling in the game and are smart with the ball. They were able to hold up Louisiana to 25% shooting from the field, and in the last 5 minutes of the game, the Raging Cajuns slowly chipped away points and held up to 10 points. However, the Longhorns were able to respond with 13 points of our own. On the offensive side, they have been dominated with the exhibition games and the Louisiana game. The first 2 exhibitions, they were over 10 points, and in the Louisiana game, it was a 23-point game. We are dominant in the paint with our post players, and we were able to find a way to make it to the net. Same thing with our shooting guards. They have just built a really strong connection with both the guards and the point guards. Overall, I don't think we have any weak players on the bench, as we have such a huge depth from the transfers and the newcomers as well. Just anyone who comes off of the bench is really just super duper eager to get, and you can show that they have massive grit and are hungry to get on that court.
As the number 3 team in the NCAA, what is something we can expect from this team?
You know, this team is definitely hungry to make it back into the round Final Four, maybe even possibly win an NCAA championship. Last year, they were so close, but we can for sure expect high competitiveness, as a new starting lineup will be most likely happening every game. They are now 3-0, and they have blown out all of their opponents by hitting over 100 points with the 2 exhibition games. This was the only game that there wasn't that much of a huge margin, but it was also such a significant way that we can see other players get back in there. I would personally love to see more of Aaliyah Moore, as she had a huge game against Wayland Baptist. We had 5 people over double digits. And at that exhibition game, this team is stacked and is very talented with a freshman class as well as the transfers too. We did lose a few players from last year. We can see that in the roster, but I don't think us losing those players made that much of an impact because we have such a huge depth. We also have a pretty solid preseason matchup. We have UConn tonight, which is a ranked top 5 matchup. And then not only are they ranked, but it's great competitiveness as we can both see. Our women's team will also be they'll be put to the test many times as they are ranked 3 and they're about to show why they're ranked 3rd. We have them playing Southern California and we have them playing Princeton for preseason. And I just really am so excited to get the ball start rolling for the conference play as well. This definitely a team I have super duper high hopes for them, as they have proven over and over again as what a strong program they have built. I personally do also believe that we can possibly see a Big 12 championship as they go farther deeper into the postseason. I just don't want any of these girls to get hurt as they have such a strong future for this team.
Yeah, as number 3 coming in NCAA, there's definitely going to be some high expectations.
Yeah, no,
Debanny,
for sure.
thank you so much for your time and analysis. And thank you for joining us tonight. Joseph, I'll send it back to you at the desk.
All right, thank you, Debanny, for that analysis. When we come back to College Press Box, we're going to talk a little bit of Texas men's hoops here. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to College Press Box. The Texas Longhorns men's basketball team opened up their season last week, defeating Houston Christian and UTEP in a field week where they went 2-0. This week they have Gonzaga facing them, and Joseph is with our analyst Will to break it all down.
All right, I'd now like to welcome in our men's basketball analyst, Will Iger. Thank you for joining us, Will. And I want to start with asking, what has stood out to you in Texas's first 2 games of the season?
Easy, Joe. Their offense. Last year, the Longhorns struggled to score the ball, averaging only 68.8 points per game, which is 237th in the country. The Hornets relied too much on seniors Marcus Carr and Timmy Allen, making their offense predictable and easy to defend. The Longhorns have scored 72 and 82 in their first 2 games this year and have gotten much better shots from the field. They've shot over 50% on 2-point field goals in their first 2 games. The Hornets are also playing at a much faster pace, allowing a team to get easy layups and dunks in transition. The additions of Serge Rice, Dylan Mitchell, and Tyrese Hunter and Arteria Morris have been pivotal for the team's offense. All 4 players have helped lessen the offensive load on seniors Carr and Allen. Specifically, Morris and Hunter have helped Carr take care of the ball and run the offense. Texas bigs Dylan DeSue and Christian Bishop, along with wings Allen and Mitchell, and Brock Cunningham, have been active on the offensive glass, creating second chances on offense for the Longhorns. While Texas defense has also been outstanding on the defensive end, we can always expect Chris Beard's coach team to defend at a high level.
All right, so following that, this year Texas added 2 5-star freshmen in Dylan Mitchell and Arteria Morris. How have those 2 freshmen played so far?
Well, Joe, the former 5-star freshmen, Dylan Mitchell and Arteria Morris, have been great additions so far for the Longhorns. Both provide youth and talent to an already experienced Texas team. Mitchell is a 6'8" wing who can defend multiple positions and can jump out of the gym. His athleticism has been key for the Longhorns on defense. He averages 8 rebounds per game and has contested many shots at the rim against opponents. On offense, Mitchell is extremely versatile as he attacks the rim with force and has a great handle. Similar to Mitchell, Morris has also made the Longhorns a much tougher opponent. Morris's quickness and ball handling allow him to break down opposing team defenders and get easy looks in the paint. He's also a more than capable defender because of his strength and size for a guard. Although Morris comes off the bench, he's been a great role player for the Horns this year.
All right, finally, I'll close by asking, this Wednesday, Texas will face the number 2 ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs at the Moody Center. How would the Longhorns match up against one of the nation's best teams in the country?
Well, Joe, while Gonzaga could cause problems for the Longhorns inside the paint, UT's perimeter defense and offensive firepower pose a huge threat for the Gonzaga Bulldogs. The Longhorns have a ton of really good guards who can defend at a high level. Senior transfer Tyrese Hunter does a great job of pressuring opposing teams' guards and forcing turnovers. Last year, Hunter was one of the Big 12's leaders in steals, averaging 2 steals per game. He'll be a great matchup for Gonzaga guards Nolan Hickman and Rasir Bolton. Hunter and the rest of the Horns have done a really good job defending the perimeter this year, as their opponents have been shooting less than 25% from 3. Texas' strong offensive play will also be crucial if they are to beat the Zags. Alongside Hunter, seniors Carr, Allen, and Rice are all capable scorers and are capable of having big scoring nights for the Horns. All 3 players are good mid-range shooters and can drive to the basket for the finish or to create open looks for others. Although the Longhorns should have success against the Zags on the perimeter, they might struggle against the 2-time All-American Drew Timme inside the paint. Timme scored 37 last year against the Horns. And if centers Dylan DeSutte and Christian Bishop are to get into foul trouble, the Longhorns don't have many other options at center to guard the 2-time All-American.
Well, Richard Chazone, Drew Timme, always dominant in the nation, always dominant for Gonzaga. Thank you, Will, for joining us. Send it now back to Courtney at the desk.
Thank you for that, Joseph, and thank you for joining us, Will. When we come back, we will recap the primetime game against TCU. You won't want to miss it.
Welcome back to College Press Box. A crisp, cool Veterans Day weekend was the setting for undefeated TCU visiting the men in burnt orange. However, things went awry soon for the Longhorns. Take it away, Courtney.
Thank you, Joseph. I'm joined today by our Texas football analyst, Abbie Barkan. Thank you for joining us.
Thank y'all for having me.
So I guess I'll start off with this clear, cut, and simple. What went wrong for the Texas Longhorns this weekend?
Okay, so in the first half, both teams played one hell of a defense game, with TCU on leading by a field goal at the half. Even the Texas defense had 11 tackles for loss in the first half, which was showed by a positive outcome for the Longhorns. You know, when the second half rolled around, everything the Longhorns had worked for in the first half had just completely fallen apart. Bijan Robinson was held to just 29 yards, which broke a streak of 7 straight 100-yard performances in all of his games. Meanwhile, TCU's Kendre Miller scored the game's first touchdown with a 75-yard run, clearing 130 yards rushing. So now if we look at Quinn Ewers, he only completed 17 of 39 passes for 171 yards while also having an interception. So then when you look at the defense played its second best game of the season, the first being the 49-0 shutout against OU, as we all know it, a few weeks ago or a month ago, I guess. So, however, the Longhorn defense became tired and lazy, and when the fourth quarter came around, there's no doubt about it. Around leading to the offense not even looking half interested to get back into this ball game. It was all very possible with the final score, only 17-10. It wasn't like this was a huge scoring game, whatever. So I think Texas needs to take this loss, learn from their second half mistakes, which they seem to have many, not just from this game, but from others, and implement those changes for their last 2 games of the season. Bottom line of this game is TCU is just the better team. Texas, yes, was favored, but at the end of the day, TCU has had one hell of a season now, ranked 10-0, and they're number 4 in the country. So.
Yeah, when your offense doesn't produce, the defense, there's not much they can do. So clearly something needs to change for the Longhorns. What is that change, and what is it going to look like?
So first off, TCU came at Bijan Robinson extremely hard. They were ready. They were ready to get him down. There has to be another good option other than Bijan. Obviously there's Xavier Worthy, but because good defensive teams like TCU are going to continue to come at Bijan like this past weekend, they got to have another option. The O-line showed a lot of weakness this week. Both the interior and outside line have had a lot to work on, as Texas could not get the ball running on the ground with many tackles unable to be made. I hate to say this, but once again, Quinn Ewers was a huge issue for the Longhorns this weekend. He managed to look just as terrible as he did against OK State a few weeks ago, as he continually is missing all the reads and not handling himself well in the pocket. I mean, Ewers missed Xavier Worthy so many times on the deep ball and was ultimately not able to get a good rhythm with this team going. I mean, I'm not Coach Sarkisian, but if I was him, I would have brought out Hudson Card to at least try and get something new going on here on the offense and to bring the team spirit up. I mean, Card's win over West Virginia like a month ago proved he can be that guy when needed, and I think it would have been best to give him a decent shot at this game.
Yeah, a lot of people felt like Quinn should have went back to Ohio State the way he was performing. So what does this win mean for TCU, and what does this loss mean for Texas?
This is huge for TCU. They reached 10 wins for the first time since 2017 and have officially clinched their spot in the Big 12 championship. I mean, good for them. Here's the deal with TCU. I guess first off, they have to win out. Oh, sorry, Texas. Oh, my bad. Texas has to win out. I think they are more than capable of doing, and they have to win big in the Big 12 championship. Sorry, my bad, TCU. They want a shot of being within the top 4 rankings for the playoffs. I mean, they got to work their way up there. They got to prove to everyone. The deal with Texas as of now is Texas has got to beat Kansas. Well, they also need to hope that Kansas State loses one of their last 2 games, either to West Virginia or the Kansas Jayhawks, because Texas as of now holds that tiebreaker over Kansas State. Most likely than not, Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns will have to wait yet another year for a trip to the Big 12 championship. So I think, win out the season, show everybody what they got, and then we'll see how it goes, and hopefully they can get some stuff going on through the off season and finish out, and get back on to next season and hopefully show everyone that they can be a great team.
Yeah, next year should be a big year for Texas football. Abbie, thank you so much for the great insight and for being here tonight. With that, I'll send it back to Joseph at the desk.
Thank you for that analysis, Abbie. When we return to College Press Box, we're going to talk about the last week in Texas sports. You don't want to miss it. Welcome back to College Press Box. Number 1 Texas women's volleyball swept their arch-rival Oklahoma Sooners in a dominant showing at McCaslin Fieldhouse in Norman. The Lady Longhorns had a season-high 12 service aces, with Kiona Leakana creating a season-high 5 of them. Also, Madison Skinner and Logan Eggleston each had 13 kills, with Skinner also finishing with 10 digs. Texas volleyball returns to Greg Gym Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Number 16, Texas women's soccer also faced an arch rival in Texas A&M, saying goodbye to A&M in a 3-1 victory at Mike A. Myers Stadium. There were 2 record-breaking performances last Friday, with sophomore Trinity Byers breaking the school record for the most goals in the season with 16, and sophomore Lexi Massimo breaking the school assist record with her 15 assists of the year. Texas has a tough matchup ahead of them, facing Duke in the second round NCAA women's soccer tournament this Friday, 5:30 at Durham, North Carolina.
Both men's and women's cross-country teams finished spectacularly at second in the NCAA South Central Regionals to advance to the NCAA Championships. Beth Ramos and Isabel Hebner had top 10 finishes to lead Texas on Friday morning, while Isaac Alonso and Half to Night led the men's teams to punch their ticket to nationals for the 6th straight season. Both teams will trek to Stillwater, Oklahoma on the 18th of November to compete for the NCAA Championships.
Taking a look ahead at this week in Longhorn sports. Starting off on Wednesday, we have Texas volleyball against Big 12 rival Kansas at 6 p.m. on Longhorn Network. Later that day, men's basketball takes on the mighty number 2 Gonzaga at 8:30 on ESPN2. On Friday, Texas women's soccer plays in the second round of the NCAA tournament, facing off against Duke at 5:30. The match will be on the ACC Network Extra. Lastly, on Saturday, Texas sports has a packed day, scheduled with track and field and cross country competing NCAA championship, Texas football playing Kansas at 2:30 on FS1, and volleyball taking on Baylor at 7 p.m. on Longhorn Network on their senior night.
All right, that'll wrap up things for us on this week's episode of College Press Box. Make sure to tune in to our other shows this week, including College Crossfire on Wednesday and 1-0 Sports on Friday. Thank you to our analysts, everyone in Master Control, our executive producer, Samantha Perl, and everyone else at TSTV. I'm Joseph Duffey. He's Courtney Machani. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night.